A friend recently told me that her son is away at boot camp, 18 years old. I've known him his whole life. I kind of couldn't believe it. But the first thought I had was, I don't think I could make it through boot camp. But my second thought was, at least people in boot camp expect it to be hard. When you're in regular life, we just keep getting dished challenges, one after the other, endlessly. And we don't have any warning at all. A lot of us find that to be surprising because we don't expect life to be hard. We're not prepared for life to be challenging. We think it's supposed to be upfront and pretty easy. It looks like it is for other people. It looks like they're not struggling. So we're surprised. Why is this so hard? We tell jokes about it sometimes, like, these gray hairs, they're from my kids. I don't know how I survived their teenage years. We joke about the fact that life has its hard chapters. But I think if we ever seriously looked back, if we ever took a good long look at our lives and did a review of how far we've come, I think the biggest proof of God's existence we could find is that we're still here. That feels like it's the proof that God exists, that we're still here. These readings tonight are not soft, are they? The first reading says, you're going to be alive for years of unsurpassed distress. Jesus in the gospel says, this generation that we're living in right now is going to see it all. You're going to see heaven and earth pass away. And I think a lot of us would say, I think this was written for now. A lot of us feel that, don't we? There's kind of that feeling in the air. One person described it as, I feel like I'm always sweeping up broken glass while a hurricane continues to break windows in my house. Isn't that how life sometimes feels? We're sweeping up the glass, and then we hear another crash, and the hurricane has broken yet another window. That's why it's important that we turn to readings like those we heard tonight and the things that wise people have told us, the things that mystics have let us know about life. Many of you may have heard of St. Rose of Lima. After all, we've had a college named after her locally for 106 years. St. Rose of Lima talked extensively about how to get through tribulations. Part of it was because she was from Peru, which is a country that's been through so much over the years. But it's also because she experienced a vision of God. She's one of those mystics who actually got to hear what we call a locution. God spoke to her and said, Rose, I want you to tell the people this. I want you to spread this message. And this is the message I want you to hear. That as the struggles of life increase, the gifts of God also increase. I want people to know that, God told her. I want them to know not to stray, not to get overwhelmed and let themselves get deceived. Let them know that struggles are the only true stairway to paradise. Struggles are the stairway to paradise. And then this. The cross looks like it's blocking the way to heaven. It's not blocking the way. It is the way. God told Rose of Lima to share that with people. And that continues to ring today through the writings that she left us. I went on a retreat once at a monastery with a very strict rule. It was one of those places where you get up at 4 a.m. and you go to the prayers, and then you have to have your quiet time, and then your breakfast. Everything was really regimented. But 1 hour a day, I got to talk with my very own monk. They assigned a monk to me and I could bring him my questions, and he would give me homework, read this during your quiet time, try this. And I remember one of the conversations with Father Gabriel, the monk at the monastery I was talking to, is I was talking about how hard a time I was having with this particular spiritual battle in my life. And I said, I just cannot make any progress with this, and I'm so frustrated. Every time I think I'm making progress, I feel like I'm set back. And he said, you're talking about a spiritual warfare experience that you're in. He said, success is not for you. He said, in spiritual warfare, effort is success. Success is God's alone. Leave the success to God. You focus on the effort. In this kind of work that we're trying to do, to face our biggest weaknesses, our worst fears, the things that are the hardest for us, it's our effort that matters. The cross is not getting in the way, it is the way. And us staying faithful to that is what matters. The thing we have to stay grounded in is that we know that this universe was created by God, is loved by God, and it belongs to God. This world and the universe it's part of are God's property. And so it's God's job to be in charge of it all. And we know that God, being God, is going to have victory. In the fullness of time, God is going to win. So our job is to keep at it, one day at a time. As Father Gabriel said, in the spiritual world, effort is success. Leave the victory to God and just keep putting your shoulder to the plow. In my last parish, I knew a woman who had a lot of problems. She was in chronic pain because of a medical condition. She was on oxygen all the time because of COPD. She had a child who was battling a chronic addiction. She had a sick husband. They both had terrible financial worries, and she was struggling with depression. Because she was on oxygen, she was homebound almost all the time. And I said to her, how do you do it on the hard days? What do you do to make it through the hard days? And as I said that to her, she said, Father, do you see how I'm all made up? And she had beautiful makeup. She was nicely dressed. She said, this is how I make it. She said, this is my war paint. She said, I put on my war paint and I face the day with courage. That's how I do it. Have you ever thought of makeup that way? She's putting on her war paint. It's hard, another hard day, she said, but I'm going to put on my war paint and I'm going to face this day with courage. So the question for each of us is, how are we bearing the trials of our days? For this woman, she put on her war paint every morning. What's your war paint? Might not be makeup. What is it that you do as a part of your practice to get through the hard times, to make it through the long days? When things are at their hardest, what are you doing to hold up your trust in God? What are you doing to stay buoyed up? A lot of us have these phrases that we turn to that can be our touchstone phrases. I told you recently that one of mine is, I trust the next chapter because I know the author. Another one that I love is, we may not know what the future holds, but we know who holds the future. Maybe some of it is, we just stop expecting the hurricane to stop blowing. It's going to keep breaking glass. So how do we keep the strength to keep sweeping and keep at it even when we're really tired? One spiritual author says, the thing that we're aiming at is to have the kind of trust in God where we can zoom out from our story. Can we zoom out from our life so that we're watching it almost like it's a movie? Like it's me that I'm watching, but in a way it's not me. And can we allow ourselves to watch our life unfold and say, whoa, wasn't expecting that plot twist. I wonder what the hero is going to do now. Especially if we know that there's a lot more seasons after the one we're watching, we don't have to panic. We don't have to be afraid. We can know that in the end, God is going to win. Because this is God's world, and our life was created by God, and God loves it, and it belongs to God. So although life is filled with crosses, let us listen to St. Rose, who says, the cross is not blocking your way. It is the way.